Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is Josh. I was just talked about. Josh Kohn. I'm with the Center for Cultural Vibrancy. I'm also one of the co-curators and co-producers of this event. Tonight, you are going to see so many amazing crankies. Crankies that have been hand-cut with hundreds of hours of detailed work. They're going to be incredible. They're going to permanently imprint on your minds. The cranky you're about to see right now by myself is not one of those. This is more of a cranky where I'm trying to, let's just make good on a grudge. So a cranky goes back a long time. You find crankies thousands of years ago. You find them all over the world in different forms and iterations. The tradition, the folklore around it is that the name cranky was defined here in New York City in the late 70s. I'm from Baltimore, and I'm tired of New York taking all the good stuff. And I knew that somewhere in the depths of history, we could find a different name, a different way to define this term. So I spent hundreds of hours in the Library of Congress. Hundreds, thousands of hours, until I found the real story of crankies. Do you want to hear about it? Yeah. This is true, a true story. I wouldn't lie. Once there was a little boy named Eugene Crank. Now, Eugene refused to eat anything healthy. Only sweets, chocolate, ice cream, candy corn, and cotton candy, all that stuff with delicious high fructose corn syrup in it. That was the only stuff his parents could get him to put in his mouth. And now when our little Eugene ate too many sweets, well, Eugene Crank would literally spin out of control. His tired, desperate, poor parents tried everything to get him to wind down until that one day they realized the only way to wind down a wound-up young kid is to literally wind him down. His parents would take him by the head and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin until all that crazy energy was gone and they had their nice, calm son back. Well, one day, our little Eugene broke into a big old bag of peanut butter cups. All that delicious, ooey-gooey, chocolate, peanut buttery goodness had poor Eugene bouncing off the walls. Now, as my fellow parents out there know, sometimes parenting is hard. Parents, right? Yeah. Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes you get distracted. Sometimes you can't just break free of those darn tiny screens. And Eugene's parents, tired as they were too busy on their phones, looking at their Tic Tags and Instagram feeds to pay much attention to what the other was doing. And here's the shocking part. At once and at the same time, Ezekiel and Ethel May Crank placed their hands on little Eugene's head and began to turn and turn. But unfortunately, tired and distracted as they were, they didn't notice that the other was turning in the opposite direction. And I hate to tell you this, but little Eugene's body, severely malnourished as it was from years and years of sugar and that high fructose corn syrup, it just couldn't handle those competing forces. And our little Eugene was split right down the middle, and little Eugene died. So, and here's the crazy part. That wasn't the crazy part. This is a medical fact. I learned this by sitting next to people on the subway who are doctors. Like a chicken who runs around with its head cut off, if you split a spinning human body perfectly in half for a brief moment, each half retains all the guts and muck and stuff that makes us up. And in that moment, before little Eugene's body went splat, those two spinning halves caught up a roll of toilet paper sitting on a side table, which spun up between them. And amazingly, at the same time, the cat, smelling what could possibly be dinner, leapt from his snoozing perch behind the unraveling toilet paper, but in front of the glowing fire. And now, while all this was happening, little Eugene's little brother, Benny, watched the whole event go down as if in horrifying slow motion. And while that gruesome end of his older brother stuck with Benny for the rest of his life, so did the strangely magical image that occurred alongside of his final moment. That of a cat's shadow on paper cast aglow by the fire between two turning human pegs. And when little Benny grew up, like most of us do faced with such childhood trauma, he became a professional puppeteer. Inspired by his brother's final upright moment, he created the world's first cranky. Originally, he called it a Eugenie. That name didn't stick. We're not really 100% sure why, but in honor of his family, who forced him to grow up with a no-fun, sugar-free childhood, he named his creation the Cranky. And that, folks, is how the world really first learned of the hand-cranked, scrolled panorama we lovingly know as the Cranky. Now, that wasn't really a cranky. It was a cranky sort of